The old radio crackled to life at exactly midnight, just as it had every night for the past week. Sarah, a college student renting a small, decrepit apartment on the outskirts of town, had initially dismissed the strange broadcasts as a quirk of the ancient device. But tonight, something felt different. "Good evening, listeners," the voice on the radio began, smooth and eerily calm. "Tonight we have a special message for Sarah. Yes, Sarah, this one is just for you." Sarah's heart skipped a beat. She glanced around her dimly lit room, the shadows cast by the flickering candlelight dancing on the peeling wallpaper. How could the voice on the radio know her name? "Don't be afraid, Sarah," the voice continued. "We know you're listening. We know you're alone." A chill ran down her spine. She reached for her phone, intending to call her best friend Emily, but the screen was dead. No signal, no power, just the unrelenting voice from the radio. "Sarah, do you remember the old house at the end of Willow Lane? The one you used to play in as a child?" She did. The abandoned house had been a favorite haunt for her and her friends, a place of mystery and adventure. But it had also been the site of her worst nightmare. One summer evening, Sarah had wandered into the basement and found herself trapped. She had screamed for hours until her friends finally found her, pale and trembling in the dark. "We need you to go back there, Sarah," the voice said, a hint of urgency creeping in. "There's something you left behind, something important." Sarah's mind raced. What could she have possibly left behind in that old house? And why was it so important now? "Time is running out, Sarah. You must go now." The radio fell silent, leaving Sarah in a suffocating silence. She knew she had no choice. Grabbing her coat and a flashlight, she stepped out into the cold night, the wind howling through the empty streets. Willow Lane was only a few blocks away, but the journey felt like an eternity. The old house loomed ahead, its windows like dark, empty eyes staring into her soul. She hesitated at the gate, memories of that terrifying night flooding back. "Just get it over with," she muttered to herself, pushing the gate open with a creak. The house was just as she remembered it, frozen in time. Dust covered every surface, and the air was thick with the scent of decay. She made her way to the basement door, her flashlight casting long, eerie shadows on the walls. Taking a deep breath, she descended the creaky stairs. The basement was pitch black, the only sound her own breathing. She swept the flashlight around, searching for any clue as to what she was supposed to find. "Sarah?" a whisper echoed through the darkness. She spun around, the beam of her flashlight catching a glimpse of movement. "Sarah, over here." Her heart pounded in her chest as she followed the voice. In the far corner of the basement, she saw it, a small, dusty box. She knelt down and opened it, revealing a collection of old photographs and a worn-out diary. The photographs were of her and her friends, playing in the yard, laughing and carefree. But as she flipped through them, she noticed something strange. In every picture, there was a shadowy figure lurking in the background, watching them. With trembling hands, she opened the diary. The entries were written in a child's scrawl, recounting their adventures in the old house. But the last entry sent a shiver down her spine. "July 15th. We found a new friend today. He says his name is Mr. Shadow. He likes to play hide and seek, but he doesn't like to lose." Sarah's breath caught in her throat. She remembered that day. They had all felt a strange presence, but they had laughed it off as their imaginations running wild. But now it seemed all too real. "Sarah!" the whisper came again, closer this time. She turned, her flashlight flickering. In the dim light, she saw him. A tall, shadowy figure standing at the foot of the stairs, his eyes glowing with an unnatural light. "Mr. Shadow," she whispered, her voice barely audible. He stepped forward, his form shifting and twisting in the darkness. "You left me behind, Sarah. But now I've found you." She stumbled back, her mind racing. She had to get out, she had to escape. But as she turned to run, the basement door slammed shut, trapping her inside. "There's no escape, Sarah," Mr. Shadow's voice echoed around her. "You belong to me now." She backed into a corner, her flashlight flickering and dying. The darkness closed in, suffocating her. She could feel his presence, his cold breath on her neck. "Please," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. "Please let me go." But there was no mercy in his eyes. "You left me behind, Sarah. Now you will stay with me. Forever." The last thing she saw was his shadowy form enveloping her, pulling her into the darkness. The old house at the end of Willow Lane stood silent and empty once more, a forgotten relic of the past. And the radio in Sarah's apartment crackled to life once again. "Good evening, listeners," the voice began. "Tonight, we have a special message for Emily. Yes, Emily, this one is just for you.